Welcome to the podcast where we move past appearances and polished highlights to explore the mindset, discipline, and personal journey behind those who are truly building influence and impact. Today, I have the pleasure of sitting down with Maria Pasotti, a real estate professional known for her elevated approach to service, her commitment to excellence, and the intentional way she has built her presence in a competitive industry. Maria represents the kind of professional who understands that success is not only about transactions or visibility, but about trust, consistency, and the standard that you choose to carry. In today's episode, we'll talk about the story behind the success, the lessons that shaped her, the discipline required to grow, and what it means to serve at a high level, both in business and life. This is a conversation about more than real estate. It's about identity, leadership, and what it really takes to rise above the ordinary. Miss Maria Pasotti, welcome Beyond the Velvet Rope. How are you today?
Thank you so much. I'm good. How are you?
I am fantastic. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this is a conversation that I have been waiting to have. I've been looking forward to. So, Maria, I mentioned some things about you, but tell us something that I did not say that we do not know that you think will be beneficial.
So let's see. My name is Maria Pasotti. I am a luxury real estate advisor in the Tampa Bay area. I work all of Central Florida from here through Disney. My background is pretty unique. I attended culinary school in Miami, and I also have a psychology degree. And I was also a special needs teacher. And then now today I'm in the top 1% of realtors in Florida, and I'm in the top 500 out of 15,000 in my local area.
Okay, so you said a lot right there. Let's work through some of this because we see where you are now, and we might think it was an easy journey. How did you go from culinary school degrees to special needs teacher to real estate? What does that journey look like?
So I initially started culinary school in Miami. I thought that was my passion. After working in hot kitchens, I realized it wasn't. I wanted to do something where I could really help people. So I went back to school and I got a psychology degree with the hopes of having my own practice one day. So while I'm getting my master's degree for psychology, I decide, hey, I can become a teacher with my current degree, and I liked working with special needs students. It's something I had done in the past, so I became a special needs teacher. Now, the teacher salary could not really sustain me long term. So my mom was a realtor when I was younger, and I saw that. So I kind of got into real estate casually, like, hey, like just fun
Mhm.
money. And quickly it turned into something more. It's now my absolute passion. Um, and it's really what I see myself doing for the rest of my life.
Okay, and so that I hear that. So now, when we look at you, and when we see your names, and we see the awards and the accolades that you're getting, what's one misconception that people might have about Maria Pasotti as she sits? And I'm saying this. You did not say this, so ladies and gentlemen, attribute this to Neil Oates. So you're sitting atop the industry. When people see you, what don't they know about what it takes to get to the top or to the level that you are right now, ma'am?
They don't see the consistency, the discipline, the tears, the resilience, that I've had to go through. This business is such a roller coaster. And I think the statistics say that most realtors leave the industry within the first 2 years. So
Mhm.
I've had to learn how to really balance a lot. I'm also a full-time homeschool mom. So there's been times when I've caught myself really becoming like a workaholic. So I've had to learn how to grow in this business while growing my family. So everything's been a big shift. This is I got into real estate thinking this will be easy. It's not. It's the hardest thing I've ever done. And I yet I love it. So
Now, this is where, because a lot of our audience are going to be ladies. Well, what would you say to the lady who is on the fence and she's sitting here saying, "I want to build and grow my thing, but I also want to have my family." And the reason I ask you is because from the outside looking in, I know that it could be seen as, well, no, you have to choose between being a good mom and wife or being a business owner. What do you say to them, and how have you navigated that, especially as a homeschool parent?
So I can't take all the credit. I do have to give some credit to my husband. Um, if you have a good support system, that's your number one, number one chance that you'll really, really be successful at it. But you could still do it on your own. Just have to really be super disciplined about your time management. Um, with this industry, you can, for the most part, set your own schedule. So I would say you have to be very intentional about the time that you allot for work and the time that you allot for family, because if you don't, it quickly can just get out of control. I used to have three babysitters on hand all the time just so I could, at the drop of a hat, go do a showing. And that's really where you have to stop and focus and be like, all right, I need to really give time to what's important here and not just work, 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 work all the time. So I guess balance would be the most important thing.
Now, Maria, you mentioned where you had to really focus on what was important. How did you shift from being the almost a workaholic to saying, "Hold on, let me get my priorities in order"? Was there a moment, or were you just running, and then your kids were like, "Hey, mom, whenever you're finished doing your thing, maybe we can do that thing you promised us 3 hours ago"? What
Yep.
was that defining moment where you said, "Hold on, I know I'm doing this and it's a good thing, but I have my most important things in my family that's being neglected"?
That's exactly what happened. It was a combination of my husband and my kids. Um, I would say, "Hey, hold give me a sec." My husband's waiting for us to, like, watch TV after the kids have gone to sleep. I'm like, "Hey, give me a second." He's like, "It's, like, 11:30 at night. Do you think you can just stop working for a bit?" And I'm like, "Just one more thing." Or the kids will be like, "Mom, you're always working. You're always on your phone." And I was like, "Oh, the guilt." So, hearing from my family, guilt is what did it. I was like, "All right, I really need to get a schedule in order."
Oh, okay. Now you say that the guilt side of the family, or that pressure, but then also I know that you are involved. And ladies and gentlemen, we're here with Maria Pasotti on Beyond the Velvet Rope, and so I know that part of your business you have been looking at. Well, where can I have an overlap between business and family? I know that you are involved as a homeschool mom, but then you also have extracurricular activities, and so maybe some hobbies, such as I know the scouts were an opportunity for you to get out there. And then, if I'm not mistaken, I believe that we like cars and all this. So talk about the hobbies or the extracurriculars that also give you an opportunity and that you leverage and woven into your business.
Yeah, so I do Girl Scouts with my daughter, and that is something that allows me to have time with her while also I get to meet a lot of people. I've had clients from Girl Scouts. I love cars. I'm a big Porsche enthusiast. Last year, last year I bought four Porsches. Got it out of my system now. So I'm part of the Porsche Club of America, and we go to events. My husband and I will attend these events, so it also helps us have time together. We're actually attending a rally in like 2 weeks where we get to race our cars, and I get to meet other people there. So it's a little bit of both, business and pleasure.
And so we hear that, and now people are saying, "I cannot identify with Maria. She bought 4 Porsches last year. She's doing the rallies." But it's not just about the cars or the brand. It's about you living and doing this thing called life on your
Yeah.
own terms. At what point did you decide, and because this is what I really want our listeners to get, at what point did you decide, "I'm not going to just get what life gives me. I'm going to be intentional about this thing and make some concentrated efforts and leverage the discipline in order to live life on your own terms?
I think it was when I was a teacher. My husband was a diesel technician. He was working all day, every day. I was working as a teacher, so the kids attended the same school where I taught, which helped me to, be with them, and it helped our schedule because I'd go
Mhm.
home with them, come home with them, but it felt like we barely got any time together as a family. I just wanted something more out of life. So when real estate started, taking off, I realized that was the opportunity. And eventually, stuck with it. I've worked so hard for this, but we're now at a time when I was finally able to retire my husband last year. And so he's a stay-at-home dad. And he told me, I remember the first week he was home with our kids, he said, I feel like I'm getting back all the time that I missed with our kids
Mhm.
when they were growing up. Like that to me means absolutely everything. This is what I do it for. This is what I do this job for. It's allowed us to have so much more family time.
And so I want people to understand that the drive is very rarely for the successful individuals, ladies and gentlemen, is the drive the money. It is typically the lifestyle, the pleasures, and we're not talking about the cars. It's your husband being able to be home for that first week, and he's like, "Man, yeah, this is it," right? Because he's already put the time and he's done the work. But those moments now that he's saying, "Babe, you won't believe what happened today," and you're like,
Yeah.
"Ah, that's pretty cool, right?" So I know for you that that has been a dream, and so now living in that, what have you learned about yourself as you've transitioned through all of the roles, and now to where you're transitioning to the point where you're outside of the house, your husband is at home, and he's really enjoying that part of life. What have you learned about Maria in this process?
I learned that I'm so much stronger than I thought. I grew up being such a shy kid. I was just always like a an overachiever. I always wanted to get good grades, but I was shy. I just never imagined myself being like this businesswoman who gets to, support my family. It's just I learned something about myself. I had no idea I could be like this. This is just it's been awesome. Just learned a lot about
So
myself
let
and
me ask you, Maria. What would you say to your younger self that was that wanted to be an overachiever but was shy? If you could talk to her today, what would you say to her knowing what you know now?
oh gosh, I would say don't be scared. You can do anything. Like don't be shy. Don't worry so much about what people think. In the end, and everyone's worried about themselves, not about you. Like you can do anything. And I wish I would have known that back then. I mean, I know it now, but eventually, I'm glad it eventually I eventually learned that. Took me a while, but I'm so glad I did.
Now, right there, I heard a sigh of either release or a sigh of where you of reflection, where you're like, ah, like no one's really worried about us. So how freeing is it when we stop living in fear or concern of what others are thinking about us, and we can really blossom? How freeing was that for you?
That it absolutely changed my life. I I guess realizing that people aren't worried about you or what you're doing, everyone's focusing on their own thing. Everyone's focusing on themselves.
Mhm.
And I grew up thinking I had to, people please and make sure that I always was like so perfect in every way. And I don't know, eventually as I got older, I just realized I don't need to I don't need to do anything for anyone. I just need to do what's right for me and for my family. And it's just like a big mental barrier that came down.
Now, Maria, you just said something that I 100% believe. So you and I are part of the unpopular opinion that as long as, like for me, is as long as me and my wife and then our son, for you is you and your husband and then the kids. As long as we're good, we aren't really concerned with the outside world, right?
Yeah.
We know how freeing that is. So I do want to pivot to talk about real estate here for a moment and just luxury service. For you, you are operating in a very attractive area, both in price point, in look and feel. I still believe that when it comes to luxury, that your area is what we would call affordable luxury, meaning that people don't know about it yet. So I still think that there's a big upside for those global buyers coming in and finding out about your marketplace. What does luxury service mean to Maria Pasotti?
So luxury service to me is about anticipation. It's not just reacting, it's thinking three steps ahead of your client at all times. It's communication, attention to detail, discretion, and making the entire experience feel
Stop right there. Stop right there.
What?
You mentioned discretion. Go ahead and because I know you're gonna keep going, but you're in a crowded market. And so many of us as professionals, as realtors, as service providers, we might think that we have to boast and tell everything about who we're working with.
Yeah.
Just talk about that discretion for a little bit, please, ma'am.
Yeah, especially in the luxury market, you have to be discreet. If you're out here telling everyone, "Oh, I've got such and such under contract, and then and he's buying this house," like, oh my gosh, no, that and the client finds out, oh, that looks awful. Your fiduciary duty is to your client and no one else. Just be discreet. You don't have to shout it from the rooftops. Um, you you know and appreciate your own success. You don't need everyone else to see it. I mean, the numbers will show it. You don't really need to go into the details about everything.
All right, Maria, I'm like Kanye. I'm going to let you finish, but you just said that you don't need everyone else to know it. I saw a photo that you posted, and I think it was the most hilarious photo I've ever seen. And I'm not sure if you are aware of it, but you had just left an award ceremony, or maybe it was a few days before, and the award for top producer, very beautiful award, was right next to I think some of your kids clothes in the car. They were right next to some of
Yeah.
your work papers, and I can tell, yeah, I got the award, but it doesn't define me. So it was almost just okay. What's next?
Yeah.
What does it mean to you? Yes, we appreciate the accolades and the awards, but you are so service oriented. How do you balance the two? Where you're number one, you're like on the every month you're in the top of the agents, but then you're also saying, all right, I'm here because I'm a great servant to my clients and customers. How do you balance those two?
That photo that you're referring to is basically my life in a nutshell. It was the awards and clothes and just everything in the car, in the seat of the car. Um, I I build a lot of relationships with my clients. It's not just work, 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 work. Um, I'm the realtor who, after the transaction, I still keep in touch with all of my clients. We will go bowling together. We'll have family dinners together. It's not just about work, it's about relationships. So I take pride in not being just 100% work, work, work. I have a bunch of clients who have kids. We get our kids together. Our kids become friends. It's just, this isn't like a sales business. This is a people business. It's a relationship business. So I think keeping that in your mind helps you maintain a balance.
Okay, so you mentioned relationship business. We know that's the buzzword in real estate. It's all about relationships, but then we see the antithesis of that on a daily basis, where it's a turn and burn. So for you, we know you are relationship focused once you have your clients customers. How do you build that trust with your clients? I'm going to, it looks like it's quick, maybe it's not, but I know you are authentic and intentional about building relationships. So how do you go about building that relationship and that trust with your people?
Yeah. So transparency and confidence. I'm always going to be very honest with my clients, even if it's not what they want to hear. I'll always back it up with data and experience. Like, I'm not the realtor who is going to overprice your home just to get the listing. I see my role as an advisor. So, my job is to guide you to the best outcome, not just tell you what you want to hear. And I think that level of honesty builds trust quickly.
Okay, and so I'm like you. I believe that trust can be built quickly if we are authentic, if we are transparent, if we're honest. So I appreciate that answer.
Yeah.
Now, you have built something. I would say that many people would, I'm going to say envious, but not in a bad way. When they look at you, they say, man, she's really doing it. What do you think is the habit or discipline that has contributed most to your success or growth on the professional side of things?
So I'm very consistent with follow-up. Um, of course, like we mentioned, relationship building and staying visible, whether it's through events, social media, direct outreach, staying visible. And I also really prioritize continuous growth. Like, I'm always attending conferences, I'm taking courses, I'm earning designations. I just feel like if you're not evolving, you're falling behind. So, yeah.
Okay, and so you mentioned continuous growth. You also mentioned that you are always following up, like just consistent follow up. What does that look like? Does that mean that I always have to call and say, "Hey, I'm just following up"? What does a follow up in your system consist of?
So I don't like to follow up and be salesy. Like, I despise being salesy. Uh I have a VIP client program where all of my past clients receive a gift from me once a month. So it's something as simple as every month they say, "Hey, Maria has sent you this gift." And it could be, a Cuban sandwich combo at a local deli or something like that. It's just something to remind them, like, "Hey, I appreciate you and I'm thinking of you." It's just going, and it could be anything, like a client who is also into cars. "Hey, I just saw this car and thought of you." It's just reminding people that you're thinking about them, and it doesn't have to be trying to sell them stuff.
Now you mentioned you have this VIP program. So I know that from looking at you and doing what you're doing, you must have programs and systems in place. Have you always been a programs systems girl, or did you have to learn it as you scaled and as your business grew?
Oh, yeah, I've had to learn it. I've I have not been a systems and programs girl. I have ADHD. I was always like a chicken with my head cut off. Um, a CRM was my very first thing. That has helped, to keep me organized. Then my VIP list, I have all my clients in there. I've Oh gosh, that has been a really big thing that I've had to, like, learn, is to really how to just be organized, because before that I would I would do things out of memory, like, "Oh, I know I have to call such and such today," and everything was just memory, and then it got to be too much. I used to have a paper calendar, and my broker was like, "All right, old lady, when are you gonna switch to electronics?" So I finally switched to, like, my phone calendar, and now wow, it's like everything is so organized. Yeah, I've come a long way with that.
Okay, so now here's where I want to go because I know you're laughing as you play back. Like, how was I running this huge? Because you're running a business, an organization from a paper calendar with no systems from memory. Um, what was it like to go from knowing that I'm going to have to put time into the business? I've got to step away, make sure my CRM is updated, make sure that I learn and how to implement my VIP program. What was the tug of war between I should be out selling versus I should be building something to support the activities that's going to result in more business?
So, I think I was just kind of forced into it because I was at a point where I was getting so busy and I was like, "All right, I need some order in my life." Another thing I did was hire a transaction coordinator. So can spend more time focusing on my clients versus paperwork. I still do a lot of paperwork, but it's really just my business growing that forced me to put systems in place that I didn't have beforehand because I feel like real estate is kind of learn as you go. So once I got really busy, I started implementing all these systems to keep myself, not from going crazy, basically.
Okay, so you mentioned your broker, and this is something I want people to hear. I would love your viewpoint on this. What does it mean to you to have a broker who is encouraging, someone who is able to see further down the road? You, someone who can advise you on, hey, I know you're doing great, but you might want to consider this. What does it mean to have a leader or even just a voice in your life that can give you guidance so maybe you don't have to hit every pothole in the road to success?
Oh gosh, it means absolutely everything. I'm actually part of a team where I have two team leaders as well. And this is the longest I've ever been with a team. I've been with them for over 2 years now, and they feel like family to me. I can text them any question I have, and I know that they're there to give me the support I need if I need it. At this point in my business, I don't really require that much help as when I was a newer agent, but it means absolutely everything to know that whenever I need them, they're there. And my broker as well. He's a genius. So uh, it's actually one of the reasons why I have not become a broker myself. I'm at a point where I can be a broker, but having that support system whenever I need it, it means absolutely everything, and it's the reason I've stayed here so long.
Okay, so that is a great segue into this next question that I wanted to ask. Because people will see you and they'll see you at the top. They say, man, she's crushing it. She doesn't need anyone else. Why would she stay? And I know you might hear those little whispers coming from people like, hey, I think you could do better by yourself. You don't need to do all of this. What's the return? But you mentioned that idea of family and the support that you're getting. How important is your network of peers, your network of colleagues, those team members, those cheerleaders, and also the ones who are challenging you to be a little bit better? How important is that to your success, Maria?
It's super important because I think we help each other grow. Having that sort of camaraderie, it really helps everyone become a better agent. Whereas if I was off by myself, I could be a broker or have my own business. I feel like my growth might even stall a bit because I don't have other agents to bounce ideas off of. It's all a big collaboration. I'm part of a monthly mastermind that I attend with other top agents, and we talk like what's working right now in the industry, what isn't, give each other ideas. Like that absolutely means everything to me because you have to constantly grow and evolve, and this business is always changing, so having other people there that you can bounce ideas off of and share your bad moments with it, I think that's super important.
Now, I've learned everything I need to know about you when you say the mastermind. So that lets me know that you have an abundance mindset, that you are not focused on holding and hoarding all of your secrets. And so you're not focused on scarcity. What is it like to be a part of a mastermind where you're bouncing ideas off? You're getting input from what we might, from the smaller minded agents, might be afraid of and say, well, they're my competitor. What is that like to go into a space and have people who we look at you and we say, man, Maria's killing it. And then you look in there, you be like, man, I'm just glad to be in this room, right? I'm just
Yeah.
fortunate that they allowed me in. Um, what gives you the confidence that you mentioned earlier to go into a room of other top producers and share and help them and be open to critique and criticism and feedback?
I honestly think it goes back to my teacher mindset. I absolutely love teaching, that's not something that went away when I quit, my teaching job. So it gives me a little bit of that fulfillment of teaching outside of a school setting. I also mentor and train the new agent. So when a newly licensed agent comes into our team, I mentor them, and I'm with them holding their hand throughout their first 4 deals. After that, usually they can fly, but it's still it is so fulfilling and so rewarding to have them come to me and ask me for my advice and help. That's something that for me, it's just like an inner fulfillment, something that I really appreciate, and being able to do this also with top producers is just, like, mind-blowing to me because I can learn so much from them. There's you can be great, but I feel like there's always gonna be somebody who is better, who can know more, and why not learn from them? Why not collaborate with them? It's, you know, it's not a competition, like, yes, okay, we're all independent contractors, but we can help each other. It's not just about competing, we can all teach each other to be better agents.
Absolutely. Now, as we get ready to close, I want to ask you this question. And listen, you do not have to disclose anything that has not been released yet. Okay. But what's next for Maria Pasotti? What is on the horizon? Because when we're on the outside looking in, we're like, well, where else can she go? I mean, she's at the top of her game. So what's next for you, ma'am?
I just wanna keep growing. I I want to I want to keep teaching and mentoring new agents, and every year I set a bigger goal for myself. So last year I sold 16.5 million, and my goal for this year is to go above 20 million. I want to do even more transactions. I basically just want to see how much I can actually do. Like, what is the highest number I can do by myself? Um, it's really all just personal goals. I'm not trying to beat anyone. I'm trying to beat myself. I'm always trying to beat my past numbers and be the best agent I can be.
So, ladies and gentlemen, I know that we all want to be part of the winning team. So, I want to remind you that all of Maria Posadi's contact info, all of her social is going to be in the show notes or the description. So, make sure you connect with Maria. Maria, would you let the people know where you serve? Because here's what I will say: if you all need a referral, anywhere in the country, in the world, talk to Maria. She has a highly connected network. She can get you plugged in with the right people at the right place to make sure that you receive the same quality and level of service. But what areas are you working specifically, Maria?
So I work all of Central Florida, but mostly Pinellas, Hillsborough, Pasco County, and then I do sell homes like in the Disney area. That's all the way on the other side, but primarily Hillsborough, Pasco, and Pinellas counties.
And ladies and gentlemen, if you want an experience, not just the home buying or selling process, but if you want the experience of your lifetime, so that you can move into that VIP program that Maria has, make sure that you contact her, reach out to her. Even if you have questions, what I've learned is that Maria is a great resource. If you have questions, you see that she is still a teacher at heart. She's willing to share. She will guide you along, but she will absolutely give you world class service. Before we go into having some fun, Maria, is there anything that you want to say to the audience today, ma'am?
Um, Gosh, way to put me on the spot there. uh, just, just be yourself, I guess. Be yourself and believe in yourself. That's really the most important thing. You can do
Okay,
anything.
so I love that. Be yourself. We can do anything. Believe in yourself. So Maria, I did not send you this information. So if I put you on the spot before, now I'm really going to put you on the spot. We're just going to do a quick rapid fire lightning round of questions. Are you okay with that, ma'am?
Sure.
All right, now, my legal department, who does not really exist, told me that you are not obligated to answer any of these questions. Is that understood?
Sure. Yes.
All right, so here we go. Favorite color?
Um, Purple.
Why?
You don't know. It's kind of calming. It's like soothing to me.
All right. Favorite food?
Empanadas.
Okay. Is there a specific type of empanada that you enjoy more than the others?
Yeah, cheese. I love cheese empanadas. My mom used to make me those when I was a kid, and I'm also a vegetarian. So, the fried dough and the cheese, so good. Oh, I love carbs.
Hold on. Slow down. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, we just took Maria off on a tangent. As soon as we're done with this interview, I know Maria like, I gotta get me some cheese empanadas. So hold on. What Maria, and now this is not one of the questions, but what is your heritage, your ethnicity, your background, ma'am?
Yeah, so I was born in Venezuela, and I've also lived in Panama, and then the US is the 3rd country I've lived in.
Okay, and so I neglected to ask this, and so hopefully you'll just give me this opportunity. What has living in different countries and then being in a service industry that you're in now, how has that impacted the way you serve, maybe how you view your clients, customers, or prospects? What has that done to or for your business and how you look at business and interacting with people?
Honestly, I'm a very empathetic person. Like I genuinely love people, and I think having lived in 3 different countries has helped me become so much more understanding and adaptable to different personalities and people from other backgrounds. I think that's one of the biggest things that makes me me. I love absolutely everyone, and I feel like I can connect with almost everyone.
Awesome, man. I absolutely love it. And I forgot to ask that. And so that means that we are speaking Spanish in business as well, correct, Maria?
Oh yes, I've done a bunch of transactions fully in Spanish. So I read, write, speak Spanish. So whenever a client prefers Spanish, we'll do the whole thing in Spanish.
So, ladies and gentlemen, yet another reason to contact and have conversation with Miss Maria Pasotti. So now we're getting back to the fun. Batman or Superman?
Batman.
Why?
I don't know. I just think he's so cool and his deep voice, and I've watched more Batman
I
movies.
got okay. Mickey Mouse or Bugs Bunny?
uh, Mickey Mouse, just because it's a classic. I know. I take my kids to Disney a lot.
Now let me ask you. And I'm just going. I'm asking this question seriously. Are you old enough to remember Bugs Bunny or not?
Yeah, yeah. I watched Bugs Bunny cartoons when I
Okay.
was younger.
And you still choose Mickey. You're still going with the mouse.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. What is the best piece of advice that you've ever received?
I guess it was from my team leaders to just believe in myself, which is why I keep repeating it. Because they saw that when I was a newer agent, I would kind of doubt, and they'd be like, "No, Maria, you got this. Got this. Believe in yourself." Just had to get out of your head.
So, Maria, you mentioned that in the luxury real estate space now, and so I'm just curious. And you talk about this self confidence and believing in yourself. Did you start in luxury, or did you have to work your way up?
I definitely had to work my way up. I started off taking internet leads that were like $60,000. I took anything and everything that came my way to gain experience and learn and grow because you learn something from every transaction. So, I mean, I've worked all price points. And then eventually I just started getting more opportunities in the luxury market. And I still help, lower price transactions because everyone deserves a home. I just have more opportunities in the luxury field now.
Okay, and now what was there a shift that was required of you to go from what we would say the general marketplace to moving up in the niche and the price point? Was there a shift that whether it was education or personal belief or growth? Was there something that had to happen for Maria to be comfortable moving into that space?
Yes, it was very intentional, and it was a combination of um, taking more courses and just improving my just education within real estate so that I could understand the luxury market and clients better. And then I started farming luxury communities. So it was all very intentional and planned out. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, now well, I have two questions left. What is one talent or skill that you do not have that you wish you did?
Huh, that I wish I did. The courage to cold call. I know that
No,
it's
no, 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 we don't want that. I don't want. I rebuke that, Maria. Man, we don't like cold
nope,
calling. I'm
nope,
not gonna do it. No, why?
nope.
Do you
I've
like being
never
cold
cold
called,
called.
Maria?
What?
Do you like being cold called?
No, I don't like to
Okay.
cold call.
Uh-uh. And so I'm glad you said you like. So we want the courage, but we ain't gonna do the activity.
Yeah.
And so I'm excited to hear you say that. So let's go back then. Ladies and gentlemen, we're here with Maria Pasotti. We're trying to close Beyond the Velvet Rope podcast, but she's giving me so much good stuff. You're building this thing without doing that thing that so many new agents are told to do. Just get and just cold call. And you're like, it doesn't feel right. It's not in alignment with what you believe. So how do you build this thing? I know you talk about relationships without cold calling. Well, let me ask you this. This is a better question. Have you ever felt the urge or the pressure to pick up the phone and start cold calling? And if so, why didn't you do it?
I have felt the urge to do it, and I've attended trainings where they tell you to cold call, but I don't like being cold called, and I feel like I'm bothering people when I'm cold calling, and I know that I can connect well with people in person. So, what works for me personally is open houses. I used to hate open houses when I was a newer agent. I didn't know how to do them properly. And, I just kept thinking, what are ways that I can improve my open houses? What are ways that I can actually get people to want to sign in and talk to me? I really learned how to make my open houses a whole experience, and that is now one of my main sources of business. I do luxury open houses.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
I love that. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have top producer Maria Posadi here. She is not cold calling. We are not cold calling, ladies and gentlemen. So, if you don't take anything else from that, get the courage, but don't do the activity. Final question. Well, this one is going to lead into the next. Do you watch movies or not, Maria?
Um, Here and there. I mean, we're in this phase of life with our kids, so a lot of the movies we watch are kids' movies. I mostly do like TV shows on Netflix.
Okay, so I'm going to throw this out there and let's see if you can answer this one. What is one movie or show that no matter how many times you've seen it, if it's on, you're going to stop and watch a piece of it, watch the rest of it. What's that movie or show?
The Office.
Why? First, I love the fact that you can't even get it out without laughing. Why The Office? Is it because you need a break from the seriousness of life and you're just looking at all the
Yeah, I
shenanigans?
love
What is it about
laughing.
The Office?
I love laughing, and I just think it is so silly, like, so ridiculous, and I crack up every time, so I enjoy laughing, and I'm a happy person, so anything that gets me laughing, I will watch.
Ladies and gentlemen, you heard it here through the chuckles, through the laughter and the smiles. Miss Maria Posadi, thank you so much for your
Of
time
course.
here. Thank you for hanging out with us on Beyond the Velvet Rope. We are better for it. Ladies and gentlemen, make sure you go to the show notes or the description to get all of Maria's contact info to follow her. If you need any real estate assistance in Central Florida or anywhere around the world, Maria can assist you with connecting you to her network of professionals. Remember that we love you. God loves you. There's nothing you can do about it. And until the next time I see you or you see me, don't be average. Be world now. Peace.
Thank you. Bye.